Welcome to the blackness of space with some weird aurora borealis. You gotta say it like that, going around the edges. Okay, so as I mentioned in my description below, I washed out that sand from the previous stream that I did a few hours ago. It was very dirty, dusty, like its overall color was kind of a tan color, pretty much like dirt or dust, whatever. Now it looks like a dark gray, but it's hard to judge its actual color because it's still wet from being rinsed. So I used a coffee filter and just put the sand in that and ran some hot water over it several times, let it drain out. And it's probably still a little bit dirty. I didn't like super thoroughly sift it around or anything, but anyway, I also realized I had these cool little spatulas that I can use. Yeah, you can't see it because it's too dark. Let's see, how zoomed out or in am I? Kind of hard to tell. Okay, I think that's zooming out, and this is in. May need to adjust exposure on my microscope. Yeah, almost certainly. Okay. Anyway, you can't see the spatula, so it doesn't mean anything. But I can kind of flatten the sand out, move it around a little bit with the spatula, which is cool. So I definitely need to let me get a little bit more sand on there. This sand is very fine, though. Compared to that sand that I found at the beach that I've been sorting the last quite a few streams. I don't know if I could sort this because it's so... the grains are so fine. I don't think I could pick up individual grains. It'd be super challenging. Quite comical and maybe not as relaxing as my normal streaming. We'll see. I'll give it a shot, but I think they're too small. It'll be a fool's errand to try to pick up these grains. So I probably won't do any sorting. I'll just look at the stuff. Let's see. I need to get it a little bit more spread out. It doesn't spread at all when it's wet. It's like, you know, like when you're at the beach, you get close to the actual water and it's wet and hard and sticks together, but when you're out farther away from the water, it's nice and dry and very easily siftable or blowing in the wind, whatever. I don't know how to describe that, but you know what I mean. Everybody knows that, unless you've never been to the beach, and you might not know. Anyway, this is the clumpy kind that you could probably build like a sandcastle out of, so it's kind of hard to get flat on microscope base here. Trying to just kind of press it down so there's not a million particles on top of each other. And then I'll focus it in here. I think it's going to be too dark though, and I don't really know why that is. I guess I just need to fix the exposure. I'll do that in just a second. Okay, that's probably about as good as I can get it. I don't know why it's... Maybe it's just dark because it's wet. Like it definitely looks kind of dark, like to the naked eye, but I don't know. I don't know why that would affect the microscope exposure that much, but apparently it does. Okay, so yeah, these may not be super obvious because microscopes make things look bigger or smaller depending on how zoomed in I am, but even if I zoom all the way in, I can't make these particles look nearly as large as that beach sand. I don't know, let's see, how would I estimate that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I would say the ones from the beach were probably at least 5 times as large in any dimension, like length, width, height, whatever. Something like that, approximately. Just based on how much of the screen real estate these ones take up, they're a lot smaller. Anyway, they definitely are very much more interesting and viewable after having been washed. So that's cool. That was a success. But as far as sorting goes, I don't think it would be possible. These things are so tiny. It's ridiculous. I don't know why I really am a little bit mystified why the color isn't as good looking as the previous stream. I honestly think it's just because it's wet. It's changing how the light shines on it, or it's absorbing more light, I guess. I don't know. I mean, I guess that's probably scientifically accurate, because when you have dry sand at the beach, it looks lighter in color than the sand that's right by the water. But it's weird because when you see it up close, it's a bunch of shiny clear things or whatever, so you're like, why is it darker? But whatever, the same reason that it's darker when it's at the beach, it's darker when it's here. Nothing's changed, so it's just not as vibrant looking. But probably when this dries out, it'll look just very similar to the other sand that just has bigger particles. Maybe it's a little more... shiny's not the right word, but it's not shinier, it's something. Probably some technical term. Yeah, I don't have a way to like spread this out so it's only like one particle thick. Like there's definitely grains upon grains, and I can't really change that. If it was dry, all I'd have to do is jiggle the tray that or plate that it's on and it would all kind of spread out. But since it's wet, it just wants to clump together. So I might do another stream looking at the same sand after it's dried out, because I think it would look quite different. But it's still interesting. So some of these still look dirty, like that one in the top center. Still looks like it has a bunch of dirt particles on it, I guess. And all of them do. I mean, that could be what the rocks actually look like, but I don't think so. I think they're still a bit dirty. That one there, like right in the very center, I need a way to point. Let me think about how would I do that. Let's see, how would I do that? I don't know how to show the mouse cursor in OBS unless I'm capturing an application. That's annoying. Let's see. I know there's apps. I have to install one, but there's plugins or apps where you can just like draw on your screen. That would be kind of cool, so I could circle things that I'm trying to talk about. Anyway, that one in the very middle, I'll put it right in a place that I can describe it. Okay. Now it's right in the loop of that cord there. No, not yet. Just a second. That'll be my highlighter. So down by me, the loop of that cord of my microscope. Now I'm highlighting it. It looks like a piece of metal to me, but it could just be a clear one or something that's reflecting in a weird way because it's wet, but I've never seen a piece of sand that actually looks like metal, like quite like that. There seems to be a lot of green, which is surprising. I've seen a lot of green sand particles. And that one looks like metal too. Now I'll put that one in the loop. Right there. Down there in the loop of the cord of my microscope. That one looks kind of like metal too. I guess the cord could point at things right at the top there. But again, I think it looks that way because it's wet. I think it would look totally different if this stuff was dry. But generally speaking, it looks pretty cool. Like, it looks just as cool as the ones from the beach. They're just different. This one has like, this one's mostly clear, but it has like little brown polka dots. And the reason I have to go like this with the focus is because there's several layers thick. If I could flatten them all down on the tray, then I wouldn't have to change the focus like that. This one looks almost like a microscopic arrowhead. And I'm noticing more red ones, like in the sand from the beach. I didn't see hardly any red rocks, but like here's a red rock. There's another couple here hiding under here. Here's another one over there. Yeah, there's quite a few relatively red ones. And that kind of makes sense because where I got this sand, there's a lot of volcanic activity, so there's some of those are probably lava rocks. Here's a really red one right there. And lava rocks are quite often red. Well, that's kind of cool. So what I'm noticing, it's interesting. I'm sure there's a scientific property. Excuse me. So I'm noticing as I get to the outer boundary of this Patch of sand. It's drier, and you can see they're still obviously not very clean because it has all that dirt or dust over it. So probably when this stuff dries out, it's all gonna look kind of dirty like this, which is a shame. That's interesting. That one right there, I'm sure you can see what I'm talking about without me pointing at it. It looks like it has a little blue and green right there, which is pretty cool looking. Almost like an iridescent thing. But yeah, the stuff on the outside is drying out and the stuff on the inside is still wet. It's probably some kind of scientific thing, like you could say the outer edges of the mass dry out faster than the inside edges. Kind of like if you, oh, there's another blue. That's awesome. There's actually a ton of color in this sand. I'm quite impressed. Blue never happened in my beach sand, except for some of the shell fragments, like living things, like pieces of shells, like clam shells or whatever. They had some blue in it, but otherwise not really. There's a lot of little shiny blue and purple things in here. Pretty cool. But yeah, it's disappointing how dirty these look on after they're dried out. It's almost, I don't know how I would wash those more thoroughly. Maybe if I boiled them in some hot water and maybe a little bit of soap or something, maybe that would clean them up. I want to try something though, because I want to look at these again when they're really clean and that don't have all this dust all over them. Wow, look at that one. Green one right there looks like a crystal or something. Yeah, this stuff looks really cool. Way cooler than I thought it would. But it needs to be more thoroughly washed to reveal its full potential, I feel. The only thing I would be concerned about is if maybe the boiling water might change some of the physical properties of it or something. I wouldn't want to melt or burn any of them or something like that. That one right there is like, has a cool yellow translucent part, but also a more opaque thing. It's pretty cool looking. You know me and my technical geology terms, it's cool looking. That's all I have to say about that. But yeah, I don't think I could sort these. I'm going to just try, just more for comical value. I don't think it's going to be possible. They're too small. See if I can grab one of these. I think it's going to be like grabbing air pretty much. Just it's going to come right out of the tweezers, or I won't be able to see what I'm grabbing really. I try to grab that crystally one. Oh, got something on my tweezers. Like since this, oh, that's another thing. Since the sand is wet, it's just going to stick to the tweezers, so it's totally not going to work. Let's try to pick up that clear one, though. Yeah, see how they're all, like, clinging to the tweezers? That's ridiculous. Not going to work. I have to wait till it's dry completely. That's funny, though, like, you can probably visualize that if not under the microscope, you would see like gray stuff on the tweezers, just like you would expect touching sand with your hand. If it's wet, it just kind of sticks to your hand. Well, if you look really close, this is apparently what it looks like. There's probably a word for that. I'm not very good at science. I mean, I took high school science stuff like everyone else, but I didn't take any advanced college courses or anything. But some kind of property that when things are wet, they stick together, like hypostatic something or rather, I don't know. but it almost looks like magnetism, like they're sticking because it's a magnet with a metal. Because look at that. Maybe it's very similar in properties and principle. Like, and speaking of that, I'm probably gonna, after I show this for a while, mess around. I'm going to mess around with actual magnets and iron, because also in this general area, this is around like a lake and a river. The shore of a river and lake is where I found this sand. And it's like a volcanic lake too. Around a volcano and some mountains. I also found some iron. Actually, my mom pointed it out. She's like, oh, that black stuff, we used to go to the beach and bring a magnet and just pick it all up. Oh, this stuff is really cool looking. Can't wait to wash it more thoroughly and really take it in. It just has so much dust on it. It's crazy. But yeah, see how it's clumping together? Like, there's not very many individual pieces. They're all like in clumps. And that's because it's wet. It's so weird to see that up close because you don't really think of it as looking like that. At least I don't. But it's like all sticking together, and it's not magnetism, it's just because it's wet. Very interesting. Okay, let me get that off my tweezers. So see all those tiny particles there in the middle? That's like all the dust, dirt and dust. And that's why all of these rocks on the outer edge look that color basically. It's like a tan or light tan or almost white, but a little bit off-white, kind of a cream color. And that's just the dirt covering all the rocks. They would be much more colorful and have more variety if they were cleaned. So I'm going to try to clean them somehow. Maybe I'll look up on the internet like how to clean sand or rocks or something without damaging it. Some, I mean, there's a few big particles like that one's pretty gigantic. But on average, they're a lot smaller than the other sand that I was sorting. But once again, I feel like there's maybe more variety and color in these than the beach sand. So I'm really excited to get this cleaned up and see what it looks like. Look at that crazy purple color of magenta, like right by my microscope cord there. I don't think that, maybe it's like pulling that color from, reflecting from my lights, but I don't think so. I think that's its actual natural property. Yeah, this is going to be fun. Seeing some of these new and unique colors. Yeah, as I get closer into the center where it's still a little bit wet, it doesn't look quite as dirty, but that's just because I guess the dirt, when it's wet, looks more like part of the rock instead of standing out as a different color. I don't know. I don't have any real explanation for that, but the drier it gets, the more the dust becomes visible on the outside of it. Quite interesting, actually. I love those iridescent ones, though, like right there in the middle. There's a lot of them. This one here. There's another one, that blue thing right there. There's like that one looks like a piece of a pearl or something. All those different kind of pastel colors there. Yeah, I gotta figure out how to wash this stuff, and I think it's gonna look amazing. Definitely looks... Oh wow, look at the color on that one. Definitely looks better than when I mean, it looks better after washing it or rinsing it, but I need to like really... Like I need to scrub every grain of sand, and I don't know how to do that. Obviously you can't individually scrub the sand, so you have to come up with a process that essentially does that. Minimal effort. I think that's about as much as I can see at this point until I wash it again and see its true potential. What I should have done is taken some pictures of it before I washed it. Just then some pictures after the first rinse, and then after I've thoroughly washed it somehow, if I can figure out how to do that, take another picture, but it's kind of too late. I didn't just take a regular picture before I washed it. Actually, it's kind of surprising what this looks like, honestly, because when you're in this area, if you see like rocks, they're almost all lava rocks, so they're usually like red, you know, or black. There's a few of them that are orange and yellowish, but most of these don't look like lava rocks to me, unless that's just what lava looks like if you look close enough, but they look more like clear crystals and agates and stuff, which in this area that I'm talking about, if you just pick up a pile of rocks on the ground, you'll typically see lava stuff, so I'm actually quite surprised to see all this variety. It's pretty amazing. I don't know how rivers work, but apparently, you know, maybe the river flowing through there disrupts the rocks or changes their form over time, or just pulls certain kinds of rocks. Oh, look at how red that one is there. Oh, and how blue that one is. Yeah, I can't wait to clean these up. That one looks like a diamond right there. Obviously it isn't, but, you know, looks like it. You can use your imagination. Yeah, there's a lot of light colored, clearish ones, which surprises me, because that's not what it looks like. But I guess it's just because they're so dirty. They're so covered. Wow, look how blue that one is. That's insane. That is really cool. That's a big surprise. I didn't expect to find all this blue stuff. It's probably a geologist would be able to identify what mineral that is, but I have no idea. All I can say is adjectives like cool. Anyway, I could look at it forever, but I am more excited to look at it after it's dried out. I mean, after I've washed it more thoroughly and then let it dry again. So I think that's about all I do with that stuff tonight. This might be a short stream, but I'm also going to... My second portion, or segment, I guess, of this stream is going to be playing with magnets a little bit. So I'm going to take a quick break because I need to go get some clear tape, I think is what I'm going to use. I need to stick some magnets down to the plate of my microscope so they don't naturally roll and just, you know, stick together. I want them to stay apart, and then I'm going to put some iron in between them and see what kind of weird structures and patterns it creates, like weird strings of rocks and things. So I'll be back in a few minutes with that stuff, and we'll do some interesting experiments with that. Okay, I'm back. So I just got a big piece of packaging tape, or actually a small piece, but I'm going to try to tape these spherical magnets in place. They're tiny. I mean, they're like maybe, I don't know, 3 millimeters across, something like that, maybe 4. Anyway, they're actually, maybe some people are familiar with them. They're actually called buckyballs, rare earth magnets that are just little spheres. I think that's the name of the first company or brand that made these, but now you can buy them like under a million different brands, or not even branded, just kind of generic things. Anyway, they're meant to be kind of a toy, but they actually had a lot of controversy when they soon after they first came out, because they discovered that if kids eat them, they're very deadly, because they can, 2 of them can pinch together inside your intestines or other places in your body and cause very bad things to happen. So they're not very safe in that regard, but if you're an adult and just use them in a normal manner, they're not dangerous. But, anyway, they're basically just rare earth magnets. But I'm going to try taping a few of them down to my microscope platform so that they don't all jump together. They can be a little bit apart from each other. And I want to see what happens when I put this iron that I found. Now, it's kind of hard to tape them down, honestly. What would be more effective is if I had a quick way to glue. Actually, Okay, so here's the thing. Hot glue weakens the magnets because high heat damages magnets. Something I learned a couple years ago that frustrated me because I used to use hot glue to glue magnets into my hand-bound journals or whatever. So, and then I found out that the hot glue weakens them, so I no longer use that. I use different glue. But for this particular use, I am going to use glue because I think it will work. And hot glue dries very fast, so this would be ideal. Plus, I didn't really want to cover the magnets because they look cool. They're all shiny. If I cover them with tape, they'll look kind of dull. So if I use the glue, then I don't have to cover them. So that's what I'm going to do. I have to wait for this. Find my hot glue gun and wait for it to heat up. I guess rather than looking at this boring screen, I'll put it on my Be Right Back screen. I'm still sitting here working on stuff, but it's just more interesting to look at while you're waiting for me to get this set up. for the glue gun to heat up. I'm going to show what the iron looks like that I found. If I can get it in the screen there. Where is it? Is that it? Doesn't look dark enough. Oh, that is it. Crazy. Okay, so this is... I'm going to zoom out as far as I can. All of this is iron, or at least has a significant amount of iron in it because it is stuck to a magnet. So in this plastic bag here that you see, wow, that thing over there is moving. That must have been just coincidence. Almost looked like something was alive. Anyway, so this is a plastic bag with a perspiration on there. And then you can see there's a magnet inside the bag, and I just used that to lift up the iron from the sand. So you can see like it's sticking out on the edges, like little spires there, following the magnetic field lines, I guess. Anyway, so that's what I'm going to be experimenting with. I picked up all this iron, but what I want to do is put several magnets on my little mirror plate here, and I'm going to use hot glue to keep them separated, stuck in place. And then I just want to like kind of put this iron down on those various magnets separated by a little bit of space and see if they form like really long strings between the magnets in weird shapes and stuff. What would be really cool is if I had a way to not only keep them in particular positions, but if I could rotate them around, because then the strings would move around probably in weird and interesting ways. But I don't have an easy way to do that. If I 3D printed like some kind of thing, I don't have a 3D printer by the way, but if I did and I printed some kind of intricate holder for the magnets that I could like little reverse globes, little bowls that the magnets would stick into, and then I put another magnet underneath that, then I could probably rotate that one underneath and therefore possibly affect the one on the top. Anyway, it's hard to explain what I'm talking about, but it would be more fun if I could do some weird thing like that, but I don't have a setup for that. That's just more me daydreaming on how cool would that be. So here's what the iron looks like. I wish I could show, I don't have my regular overhead webcam set up, so it'd be fun to show just what this looks like from a distance. It looks nothing like this. It just looks like dark gray stuff. But it has so much more color when you see it up close. Anyway, those are the particles I'll be working with. It's interesting how relatively uniform the size of the particles is too. There's more of those blue and purple ones there. Very cool. Okay. Oh, my hot glue gun is all heated up, so I'm going to put some blobs of glue. That's a giant blob on there right now. I need to get off somehow. There we go. Okay. Okay, there's the one magnet glued on. This is kind of a messy deal here. To hold each one on there while the glue is drying, otherwise they would just jump out of place and snap together. I'm hoping they'll stay where I put them. It only takes a few seconds for the glue to dry. That's why I chose to use hot glue. Kind of messy though. Yeah, I wish I had my other webcam set up so you could see what I'm doing. But I don't. Ow, I think I touched some kind of pokey. Maybe one of those pieces of iron was like a needle and it poked into my skin because I'm feeling a prickly thing on my finger. Doesn't feel very nice. It's like what it feels like when you get a sliver. There's these little glue strands. I don't know if you ever use hot glue, you know what I'm talking about. The little stringy things that come out after you put a little blob of hot glue on somewhere. I'm going to leave some of those on there because I think they might kind of look interesting under the microscope. But I'll get the bigger parts off. Ow, that actually really hurts. That's some kind of pokey thing in my skin. Hopefully I can get it out. Okay, I got 4 magnets on there. Do 1 or 2 more. Shoot. I put two close together and it's pulling it out of the glue. Shoot, those ones are messed up. Oh no, the whole thing's messed up. They all click together. Crap. I have to start over. Yeah, you have to... It's like a minimum distance. They have to be apart, otherwise they just want to go right back together. Just popped right out of the glue and everything. Man, yeah, they have to be like, they're so powerful, these magnets, you have to keep them like quite a distance apart. Shoot, not working as well as I hoped. Mark II, as Iron Man would say. Let's try again. Okay. Ouch. Okay, maybe like, I think about full centimeter away at least to get them to not jump together. I wanted them to be pretty close together because the little beads of iron particles, they probably want to be not too far apart on the magnets, otherwise they might not form strings in between. Or whatever. I don't even know what's going to happen. This is a total experiment. Okay, I'll just start with 3. I guess I don't need to go too overboard. I got 3 magnets about a centimeter apart in like an equilateral triangle formation. I'll just try to get that iron strung between them and see what we get. Trying to clean up some of this glue before I get that stuff on there. Alright. Turn off my hot glue gun. I seriously have some kind of microscopic sliver, iron sliver or something in my finger. Maybe I could use my microscope to locate it. That would be kind of cool. Let me see if I can do that real quick. That would be maybe a good way to get it out. My tweezers might even come in handy. I don't know if I can focus that far away. I'll have to raise my microscope a bit.
Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds.
I don't know what those black things are on my finger, but one of them hurts. Might be that one right there. What's that? Looks kind of like a pokey thing, maybe. What I should probably do is wash my hands and get some of that other little dusty stuff off. Maybe it's that one right there. I don't know. No. That's actually a pretty cool way to find a sliver, though. It might be that. That looks like it's sticking into my skin right there. There's like a yellow thing right there. Anyway, I guess I'll deal with that later, but thought maybe it would be obvious. Okay, so let me try to get the get that iron onto these transferred here. Hopefully it'll just kind of automatically jump over there. I have to kind of cut it off with my X-Acto knife or palette knife here. See if I can get it off. Wow, it's really resisting. Wow, that's crazy. It's pretty strongly stuck to the magnet inside the plastic bag. Okay, yeah, I think the magnets aren't close enough together to like bridge the gap with the strings, I don't think, which is unfortunate because that's kind of what I was hoping would happen. I will still look at it under the microscope. It'll still be interesting, but it just won't be quite as amazing as I was hoping. Maybe if I just put the magnets touching each other, it still would create some interesting strings between. Okay, now let's focus. So that weird stringy thing that you see there on the top left is what the hot glue looks like when it's stretched out. And there's one of the three magnet spheres that has a bunch of iron on it. I think that's the bigger of the three. I mean, they're all the same. The magnets are all the same size, but the amount of stuff stuck to this one here I think is more than the others. Kind of a miniature fireworks explosion looking thing going on, but I was kind of hoping I would like bridge the gap between, but I don't think it's quite doing that. They almost are. See, like they're trying to touch there. Almost make it from one to the other, but not quite. So if I would have put them a little bit closer together, or if I had more of this iron dust, then it probably would connect in the middle. That would be pretty cool. I'll have to collect more of this stuff, or maybe you can just buy iron dust or something, but I think this stuff is more interesting because it's not just uniform shavings of iron. It's like a bunch of little rocks that each one looks different. So that's pretty cool. I don't know if I can encourage this to maybe move around and bridge. There we go. bit of connection there. It's almost like brushing hair when I'm scraping across this. All right, that's pretty well connected there. It's cool. Actually, I wish I could zoom out a little bit further, then you'd see the overall shape of these things, but this lens is very powerful, and this is as far out as I can go. I can go a lot closer. Oh, it's cool. Look at that. It's almost like a hexagon shape there. That seems to be a fairly common shape of these. They're not all hexagons, but I've seen a few of them that have fairly distinct 6 sides to them. Could just be my imagination, though. If you look hard enough, you could probably see about any shape you want. I don't know if I got some sand in my microscope focus thing, but it's kind of a little bit jerky for some reason. Go as close as I can here just for fun. I can actually go closer than that, but then it starts getting dark and a little bit hard to see. And jiggly. Ow, that thing on my finger, I gotta get that out. I probably won't do that on stream, but I probably, once I'm done, I'll actually use my microscope to get that out. Yeah, in this case, I think it actually looks more interesting to see it zoomed out, and even a little bit more zoomed out would be ideal, but like I said, my microscope's a little bit too powerful, or not the microscope, but this particular lens that I have on there. Just like tapping the table or touching anything makes it jiggle all around. But you can see you could get some pretty cool photos here. Compositions. People would be like, what in the world is that? How did you get that photo? It's a lot of cool stuff that you can see under the microscope that you just kind of intriguing and amazing. Like, I don't think I could identify some of the stuff that I've seen under the microscope if I didn't already know what I was looking at. It's like, what is that stuff? But again, this is just a bunch of sand particles that were to the naked eye, they look dark gray to black, about the same color as a refrigerator magnet. And this stuff was just laying on top of the sand, a little black strip of sand. And my mom, as a kid, used to go to the beach. That one right there in the center is like a perfect hexagon right there. When my mom was a kid, her parents, my grandparents, told her, oh, that black stuff is iron. Take a magnet down and you'll be able to pick it all up. And so she had done that as a kid. And she was the one that kind of made me aware of that on this recent trip to the beach. And this stuff, it actually isn't from the beach, but... So here's one of... I can almost see the entire sphere magnet in screen there, which is, like I said, between 3 and 4, maybe 3.5 millimeters or something. And that stuff over to the left there's like the glob of glue that has the strings in it, which is pretty cool looking. Looks like glass. It's crazy. Something I kind of want to try is to do like focus merges. I don't know what the technical term is, but instead of bracketed exposure, to do like an HDR image, do a bracketed focus. So take the same photo with focus on the front, in the middle, and then down at the bottom. And then software can combine those so the entire image is in focus. This would be the perfect use for that if it works. This camera that I have on the microscope can take really high res photos. Unfortunately, it has to be in HDMI mode, which I have it in USB mode. And in USB mode, it doesn't, for some reason, it doesn't take pictures, but it has a SD card on it. And there's a button on the remote that you can take pictures if it's hooked up via HDMI. I'd like to do more of that because they're like 48 megapixels, so you could get some pretty detailed images and use them for cool photography or artwork or whatever you want to do. I'm kind of fascinated by this angle here. It's like pretty cool. If I put this in the right place, I could probably see my own reflection in there. Or maybe I can see my avatar guy. There he is. I don't know what it is about this. I could look at this all day. I feel like you could learn a lot. Like, I think, I don't know. I mean, science probably hasn't changed all that much, but it's mostly about observation. You don't necessarily need to have an advanced science degree to do science. Like, this is science, you know? I'm just looking at stuff, but I'm making hypotheses or just kind of making observations, and you could test certain things, you know, like what's the maximum distance these particles could bridge between two magnets of a given strength, and just kind of make little notes. And you probably know more about magnetism than, you know, the average person, maybe some scientists as well, just because you've actually played around with it, and all you're really doing is playing, just trying stuff. There's much value in that. I don't have any terminology for any of this stuff. I don't know what minerals these are. I don't really know a whole lot about magnets, but you can see it in action and come to your own conclusions. As I was doing some of this earlier, I was off stream, I was thinking, like, what if there's like a place for just new discovery where they don't teach you anything? Like, instead of going to school, like, yeah, you should go to school and stuff, but what if they did an experiment, took a bunch of young people that hadn't really done much schooling and gave them a ton of objects just to play around with or try stuff? Maybe teach them a few basic principles, like, here's how to do an experiment, here's how to record your observations, write down notes and things like that. But as far as like teaching them about botany and chemistry and biology and all that. You just leave that out and see what kind of conclusions they come up with on their own, and see if it matches what your current models of knowledge are, or if they would come up with their own ways of explaining things. Because really, nothing in science is totally absolute, in the sense that it's a bunch of words to describe things. And if you didn't have those terminologies, you would maybe describe it a different way, have different explanations. And so if somebody who didn't know the established way of describing things came up with their own descriptions, they might not only have different terminology, but they might have different methods, and they might actually discover something completely new as well, because they're not limited by, what they're taught. Because when you go to school or you go to a university, you're told to do the specific thing. You're not, as far as I know, they don't usually just give you stuff and say, play around with it, do experiments, and, come up with your own conclusions. They basically have a conclusion they want you to come up with, and they tell you how to get there step by step, rather than letting you do your own kind of thing. I don't know, I think that would be pretty cool to have an experimental school where you just teach people basic techniques of studying and note taking, but then you give them the freedom to try their own thing. Don't give them some canned experiment that every single student has to do, but just give them a bunch of tools and technology and props, objects, see what they come up with. I like this image here, this angle, it's cool. Anyway, I think I could, like I said, I could just keep looking at this for ages, but generally what I had in mind to do is just kind of try the magnet, see what happens. I guess another thing I could do is put some other magnets, hold them up above or something. Problem is, get them too close and they're just going to pop right to these other magnets. So I'm going to try to hold one with my tweezers, which is going to be really difficult because it's going to want to jump right out of my tweezers. Let's get that kind of close to the stuff and see if it moves it around or something. Actually, I need to focus on an area that's most likely to move. Let's go over here. See if I can make any of these weird branchy things move as I pass my magnet around. There we go. I wish the magnet was transparent so you could see what's under there. You can kind of see it better from the side, maybe. That's pretty cool, though. What would be really cool is if you had some magnets welded on or attached, glued to a little motor that you were spinning around, because then it would create some unusual, unpredictable results, and then you could film that movement. Be pretty awesome. It's alive. I'm just gonna let this go and see where it goes. Try to put it in the middle. So you can't see because I can't zoom out any further, unfortunately, but I have 3 magnets glued to the surface of the base of my microscope, and then I have a third or fourth one up in the tweezers, which you can kind of see. And I'm going to drop it, try to get it right in the center, and we'll see which one it goes to. It's going to jump to one of them. Oh, it's not, actually. Huh. I thought I was holding it in the tweezers by holding the tweezers really hard, but it's actually stuck on the tweezers because the tweezers are made of a magnetic material, so it isn't going to jump unless I get it really close to something. It's just staying there. Okay, so let me see if I can... I don't even know if I can get it off the tweezers. The tweezers have a very strong grip on the magnet. I'll have to, like, pry it out of there. See, I learned something new. I had a hypothesis. I thought it was going to jump to one of the three. Instead, it stayed right on the tweezers. Okay, I'm just going to put... Now, okay, so I have two magnets that are touching each other. I'll try to show that a little bit here. Got one there, and it's touching... Wait, what am I showing here? Yeah, so it's kind of hard to tell, but this is a blob of two magnets together, two spheres touching each other. The one on kind of on top there, and then this one is a little bit down below. I'm going to put several of those magnets together and see what happens. If I can. Interestingly, most of the particles stay attached to the magnet that they were originally on. You would think these new ones that I'm introducing would pull some of them to the new magnets, but it appears that most of the pieces of iron are quite satisfied in remaining where they originally were. Playing favorites. Like, I like my original home. Don't tell me to go somewhere else. Create a story. Okay, so let's see what this looks like. Again, I wish I could zoom out more, but now I got kind of a blob of half magnets, half iron going on here. But like I said, most of the iron, or whatever you call this stuff, is still stuck to the original magnets that I put it on. And didn't really get tempted to jump on the other magnets. These other ones are pretty clean for the most part. I love that blue, green, and purple shiny stuff that's in there. I'd like to know what that is, but don't know much about rocks. Maybe, I mean, if I do this long enough, I might get a few geologists or just rock enthusiasts that jump in my stream or whatever. And if you do watch this and you have that knowledge, or you have the curiosity to look things up and share what you've learned in the comments, I would be very interested to know. Like, put little, what do you call them? Timestamps in your comment, and say, at this time you see this little blue thing that you were talking about on your stream. That is called so and so, or whatever. I would be interested to know, to learn a little bit, because I don't have that kind of knowledge, and I probably don't. I mean, although I find this interesting to look at, I don't have enough curiosity to do the massive research to figure this stuff out. For me, it's more just kind of a relaxing and fun thing to do. I'm not really approaching it in a super detailed or scientific manner. I just think it looks cool, so I want to look at it. That's what I do. But I think that's about all that I will do in this stream. There's a nice closing image. Let's get my little avatar dude reflecting in a few places there. But thank you all for joining me. This has been just more of a fun, playful stream with magnetism and other like things. It was fun to look at that sand that I washed a little bit. It's become very clear to me that it needs to be more thoroughly washed if I want to appreciate all of the varied little particles or grains, all the different colors and clarities and everything. So I'm going to try to either do some research or just play around with washing that in different ways so I can better appreciate it. And then I might do one more stream showing the results of that washing effort. If it doesn't actually work, then I probably won't bother with it, but that's what I will do. I don't know when I'll next stream. Maybe let's see, tomorrow. I guess I could say today because it's in the morning already, but I might stream later today again. I have to work, but after that I might find some time to do some more streaming. I'll probably get back to my bookbinding. Oh, I just made a little blob of glue thread. I'm going to throw that on there just to see what that looks like real quick. If I can find it. There we go. But yeah, I'll probably stream again today. Later. Maybe late at night like I usually do. Or we'll see. But yeah, I want to get back to bookbinding, but I do need to do a lot of preparation, clearing off my craft table because I have all this junk from the microscope and other big messes all over, so it'll take a while to get ready. But yeah, I want to finish those that cover that I was working on that book with the magnets. So maybe that will happen later today, maybe not. Anyway, thanks for joining me. Hope you have a good weekend. See you all later.